Hello and welcome to Food Safety Fridays. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. Today, the topic is using AI to improve your food safety management system. And today's guest presenter is Amanda Evans-Lara, Food Safety Compliance Specialist at HACCP Mentor. So very good evening, good night to you, Amanda. What time is it where you are? Where are you joining from?
We've just gone midnight and I'm in Australia, about 2 hours north of Sydney.
Yeah, and there's been terrible
major flooding.
Major flooding there, and Amanda's got a bad eye as well, but she's soldiering on to come and join us today and talk about AI. Tell us where you're joining from in the sidebar. It's always good to hear where you're from. I'm going to play the sponsors ads and then we'll get back to the presentation shortly. Okay, we're going to actually play the video of the presentation because we wasn't sure if Amanda could make it with everything going on and the time and the help and all sorts of things. So we have got it recorded, so we'll play that and we'll do the Q&A afterwards. So just sit back and enjoy the presentation and then we'll get to the Q&A afterwards.
Welcome to this webinar on using AI to improve your food safety management systems. So this session, we want to be able to help you harness the power of technology to enhance and improve your food safety management system. So it's really going to focus on actually a practical use of AI when it comes to food safety management. Also understanding how AI can streamline the documentation process within your particular business. And we'll give some examples around using predictive analytics to identify any type of food safety problem within your business. I'm also going to share with you the tools that I use on a day-to-day basis that help me get through my work quicker, more efficiently, and without any issues. So if you haven't met me before, my name's Amanda Evans-Lara and I'm the face behind HACCP Mentor. So I've been a food safety compliance specialist for over 30 years now. Started my life as a food inspector working for the government in Australia and then saw the light, left, started my own business. I've been auditing for the major GFSI standards and always been a trainer for all of these standards as well. You can find out more about my background on the Hazard Mentor website. So let's get into it. So first up, what is AI? So AI in some form or another is used by businesses every day, but really, what is it? Artificial intelligence, or AI, involves using computers that do things traditionally that require human intelligence. It's a science in making machines that can think like humans. It's about getting them to be smart, doing things better than actually what we can do as human beings. AI technology can go through and process large amounts of data in a way that you or I just can't do. So you might relate that back to whenever you've had to do a trend analysis for, say, CCPs or pest control or things like that. It does take time to break all of that information down, and as also when you're looking at your customer complaints as well. The goal of AI is to be able to do things to recognise patterns, make decisions, and to really judge like humans. But to do this, we need a lot of data to be incorporated into whatever tool that you're using. So when we start looking at all of this data that you have in your business, we have a thing what we call predictive analytics. You may have heard of it associated with AI before. So predictive analytics is the use of data to predict future trends and events. It uses your historical data to forecast potential scenarios that can help drive strategic decisions. So these predictions could be in the near future, so say next week. It could be something in a month. It could be things like predicting the malfunction of a piece of equipment later that day even, or further down, so it could be in the upcoming year. So predictive analytics can also be conducted manually or using machine learning algorithms. So either way, you're going to be looking at historical data to make assumptions about what's going to happen in the future. Coca-Cola is probably one of the most famous companies that I can give you an example on that has embraced using AI in their business using this predictive analytics. So Coke uses predictive analytics to identify potential supply chain disruptions that could impact its production and distribution processes. So by analysing weather patterns, transportation routes, inventory levels, Coke are able to go through and predict when a particular region around the world may experience supply chain disruptions. When they know this information, they can then take proactive steps to mitigate that impact, such as moving inventory to other locations or adjusting production schedules or making alternative transportation arrangements. Let's have a look at where you can use predictive analytics within your business. I'll go through a heap of tools that I currently use to give you examples as well. You can see examples on the screen relating to micro results, customer complaints, CCP monitoring, etc. So it's all about looking at the data, looking at letting the machine give you trends so that you can make better decisions around your production, around your human resources, around how you deal with your customer complaints. So one thing I like to do about customer complaints side of things is AI lets us set up what we call social listening. So you can see what your customers are talking about, basically. If someone's having a whinge or complaining on social media about how they didn't like your product or whatever reason, or they found something wrong, you will know. This then allows you the opportunity to do some type of damage control before it gets out of hand. Another customer service option is to offer a chatbot on your website for customers to get in contact with someone straight away. Based on the information that they put into that chatbot, you can actually send them in a certain direction. You can train your customer chatbot to sense through the words that are being used by that customer or what they're writing, if you need to pull a real human in straight away to talk to that customer. If you're like me, sometimes you get a little bit irritated when you're not getting the help that you need, especially with these chatbots or what the web. So with the help of AI, they can actually sense through that emotion what you're writing. They can respond to it straight away, bring somebody in. You end up talking to a real person, not a machine. Companies that can actually swiftly identify and address these customer issues are more likely to retain that customer and they greatly de-escalate that situation. So looking still on customer complaints, AI can go through and analyse all your past complaints, it can look for trends, it can identify isolated incidents. You might go, yes, we had a complaint on product A this month. We also actually had that complaint 3 months ago, and we actually had it 6 months ago, and we actually had it 2 years ago. But probably the way that you're doing it now, you're not looking at the data as a whole. You're only seeing these things as isolated events. You're not connecting the data, but AI will help you do that, and it will throw up your trends straight up. For microchemical results, through doing these trend analysis of predictive analytics, you can provide an early warning system on key indicators. So this might be if you were getting salmonella in certain products, or maybe you were doing swabbing in drains and you were finding listeria, and it's only happening at certain times of the year, or maybe it's happening when you use a certain chemical, or maybe a certain shift. Maybe they're not getting the concentrations right. So regardless, it allows your business to address issues and adapt your treatment strategies based on this information coming through. You may also find you're getting particular microchemical results from particular raw materials coming from a certain region of the world. Corrective actions. So this employs data-driven models as well to forecast potential defects or issues in the manufacturing processes. So again, analysing historical data and key parameters, it helps to identify areas for improvement, enhances your product quality, reduces your defects, and ensures your customer satisfaction. Equipment maintenance and calibration. I do like this one. So putting in AI in this area, it helps. Again, we're looking at historical performance data and usage patterns for your business, and you can go through and schedule your maintenance activities. This approach can help you ensure your optimal equipment functionality, minimise unexpected downtimes, extends the lifespan of your critical assets. It might be that your equipment supplier said, okay, you can get, say, 10,000 hours out of this piece of equipment, but from your data, you're actually getting 12,000 hours out of that piece of equipment before a failure happens, and you have to put some type of maintenance in process. It might be less than that period. So instead of waiting for that 10,000 hours, you may put in your maintenance plan at 8,000 hours or something like that. For your CCP monitoring results, so depending on the critical limit that you're monitoring, any measurement-based CCP would benefit better management as well. So this could be temperature monitoring, metal detector use, any scales. So again, we're looking at historical data. We're looking for trends, for qualitative criteria. You may start seeing things trend out of control. So it may trigger a change in staffing. It may trigger a need for retraining in that process if there's humans involved in it. It may lead to have a piece of equipment go through maintenance process or calibration or something like that. Finally, your production schedule. So this one's a bit of a no-brainer, and I hope everybody would be doing this anyway, but look at historical sales, look at seasonal trends, market fluctuations, your stock levels. So, when you do your scheduling, you can schedule your human resources and based on what's coming through. So that's just a couple of examples around predictive analytics and how it can be used within your business. So let's have a look now at some solid examples and check out the tools that I'm currently using. So if you've heard of ChatGPT, you've most likely heard about prompts. So the better your prompt, the better output from the tool. So for this particular example, I put it into a program called Notion AI. So this is my primary tool that I use. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's not just for AI, there's a whole heap of other uses for it. I put in some random data around date, time, temperature, and I asked it to look for the trends in the data in the table that I provided. And this is what it came back with. You can see the prompt that I said. I put into the system, look for trends in the data provided in this table. And this is what it came back with. It's actually giving me observations around that data that I can now take decisions around. Maybe it's calibrating equipment. Maybe it's a leak in the seal in the door in the cool room, and that's got to be replaced. It's very smart in doing that. It didn't take long. This was under 10 seconds to throw this information back at me. So a lot of people say, oh, but it throws up stupid things. You've got to know, you've got to do your fact checking on everything. But as a general rule, when using it for this use, you know what your data is, you know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. My next use is generating internal audit checklists. This is another one I do all the time. So I love this as well. Here again is the prompt that I put in, and I use Notion AI. I'm preparing for an audit. You guys can do this on your own SOPs as well. It doesn't have to be a customer standard. I just asked it to write me a list of questions to answer during that particular audit of the thing that I put in. And this is what it came back at. I put a section in of the BRCGS Food 9 standard around water quality, and then it gave me all these questions. I can then use these questions in my audit checklist. This is really great for new auditors, if you're doing your own internal audits, to help them, give them more detailed instructions on what to look for and what questions to ask for. My next example is the ability to find documents in context during an audit. We all know during an audit, we're a bit under pressure to find information, get documents. This is really helpful if you have your food safety management system electronically. Instead of just using your search bar in, say, your Word or whatever, which will only search in one document, but if you're looking at all of your files, AI can actually help you zone in and find you exactly what you're using in the context of an actual document. I put a search in for, say, section 3.2.8 or search for pest control, and it will tell you everywhere in your documents that it talks about pest control. Your normal search function will only talk about where pest control was, say, in the title of a document, but this actually dives into the document itself. My next one, again, this is something I do a lot of and I'm getting better at it. This is generating images using AI. For this one, I used ChatGPT to write the actual prompt, and then I generated the image in Canva. So you can see the prompt there on the screen, and it was to find a person washing their hands at the sink. I was actually quite lucky with this one. I had a couple of goes at it. This image doesn't actually have 6 fingers. Sometimes when it gets a little bit muddled up, the image generation still has a little bit of work to go yet, but it's getting better and better every day. You can then use these images for signage around your place. If you're doing internal training, you can use it for training materials as well. Next one is looking at raw material hazards. You can use AI programs to identify risks associated with your raw materials. So in this particular example, I used a program called Perplexity, and I think this is one of the best programs you'll find out there, mainly because it gives you a reference source. You can go back and double check its accuracy. When you have these reference points, they can also be useful in helping you to validate any limits using theoretical validation sources. So for this example, my prompt was, what's the microbiological risks associated with raw chicken? So this is, again, it's helpful for when you do your raw material risk assessment, but also can be used during your hazard analysis process. The tool is very quick, and it saves a lot of time having to troll through journals and other scientific resources. You can see everything that it's throwing up there and letting me know about those risks with chicken. You can then include those within your risk assessment. The next example is as a note taker for your HACCP meetings, your management review meetings, toolbox meetings, any type of meetings that you have in your business. You can make meeting minutes. You can summarize those outcomes. It's really a massive time saving with this particular tool. Most of the, if you use Zoom recordings, you might use MS Teams. If you're using any of that Microsoft range, you'll have Copilot that can help you do all of that as well. Our next one is horizon scanning for new and emerging food safety risks. Horizon scanning is about looking at the past, looking at the present, and then looking at the future. So in this example, I use ChatGPT. I looked in the prompt to review historical data for food fraud from the past 20 years and to identify the top 10 foods that are at risk of food fraud. And I also asked it to give me examples of case history. It was pretty well spot on, as I've got some knowledge around food fraud. I've only put up 4 of these here: olive oil, honey, seafood, milk, and dairy products. It also gave me references for those cases and where they were. And so, again, you can go back and check how legitimate those sources were. But if you've been in the food industry for a while, you'll know the main cases that are around these type of food groups. The next one is to summarise third-party standards. Now, again, this one's a bit of a no-brainer. Just put in the part of the standard, copy and paste it into your prompt and ask it to give you a summary. So you can then use this information to just pull out the key points, and that can help when you're trying to explain things to other people. If you want to use parts of the standard in your training programs or training staff in-house, again, this is a really easy one. It's just a copy and paste and ask it to summarise or pull out the key points. Writing business SOPs. I love this one to write your SOPs. I actually hate writing SOPs, but you just need to put in what you want to write. And in this one, I used Notion AI, and I asked it to write me a SOP for cleaning the mixer. I gave it a bit of context around saying I'm a bakery, it's a mechanical mixer, it's metal, things like that. And this is what it gave me. You can see it flicking up on the screen now. So it went through, it gave me a purpose, it gave me scope, it gave me the equipment, the materials, and then it actually stepped me through the procedure. So you can then take that information. It's a really good starting point. Go and see or compare it to what you're doing out in your production and see how it marries up. And you can just make your adjustments where you need. So again, it's a really good starting point. AI is really helpful for that. And then we have our translating documents into multiple languages. The majority of food standards will say that you have to present signage and documentation in the language that's understood by your food handlers. So you can now take this information and you can have it automatically translated. So again, I've used Notion AI. It's good for that as well. But you can also use things like Google Translate for shorter translations. So you can see here, I put in some primary text in English, and it's now translated it to my chosen language of French. And this is around maintain a cleaning log. So it's pretty cool that it could do that. Where previously you used to have to pay humans to manually translate information. You can then double check if needed how correct it is with people who speak that language within the business. Here you can see the main tools that are getting around, and you may have heard of these already. OpenAI is ChatGPT. We've got Perplexity that actually uses OpenAI, but it's got guardrails on it. You can choose what level you want to go to. So all of these tools are getting smarter and smarter. If you're on Office Teams, as I said before, you've got Copilot you can use in Word, you can use it in Excel. We've got DALL-E 3, which is, you can use that for images. Canva, which is what I use for images. If you're using Adobe at all, they've got AI now built into their program, so you can go through and summarize documents, which is great. Have a PDF, get it summarized. You can do that with your standards as well. So I've really only scratched the surface with a few ways that you can use AI in your food business. You're only inhibited by your ability to look at your own business, your products you produce, the procedures you use. These are all examples I gave you during the presentation that'll help you save time and make parts of your job a lot easier. And I'm all about that. Easier, faster, better. So thanks for checking out this presentation. If you've got any questions moving forward, please reach out to me via the contact page on the Hassett Mentor website, or you can email me at help@hassettmentor.com.
Brilliant. Well done, Amanda. That was great. Lots of really good information there, actually. I mean, myself, I do use particularly ChatGPT. It's so helpful for so many things. I find myself not using Google so much these days, very much AI, but it just, just looking at it there, translating languages, there's a whole, people who were translators, gone. It's
yes.
Like, that's one of the things with technology and one of the concerns about it. But in terms of the benefits, it's absolutely undoubted. Just some questions then from Atil. How do you verify the trueness of AI answers? Is there a tool or logic?
Yep. So that perplexity, that one that I brought up for, it's got like a little dot, like a number, and it will give you several reference points, and you just click on that and it will take you to a research document, to a government website, things like that. So you can verify straight from there where it's come from. So it's easy enough. It's easy enough to do. So Perplexity is really, really good for that. And I use it when I'm wanting to go, okay, I've got a CCP for, let's just say, cooking chicken at a certain temperature. Can you provide me a theoretical validation source for the temperature? So it will find it for you. It will tell you what it is, and then you can just use that in your food safety program to show that you've validated a CCP. So it's I think probably one of the best ones for research, because it gives you all of those data sources.
Are there any things coming into food safety management systems or auditing related to AI, the usage of AI? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, I was speaking to a CB recently, and they were telling me they're just starting to trial report writing. So if there's anybody in the audience tonight or today who's an auditor, when you have to write multiple audit reports, they've finally done it that you just put the information in once, and then it spits it out to all your different audit reports. So your retailer reports, your BRCGS, it generates the non-conformances based on, the clauses or whatever that were identified as being a non-conformance. So it can definitely fasten up that whole report writing, checklist filling out, you might want to say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know from my time that, report writing is just like the bane of auditors' lives, but also detracted from actually the practical auditing, actually seeing it at the coalface, etc. So question from Elisa. How do you access the various programs that you mentioned and costs of them, etc.?
So costs for, so for Notion, So it's notion.com. You can get started for free. And then to have they'll give you like some free credits for the AI stuff. But then you can get a full one for $30 US a month. And that includes unlimited AI in that. And the thing that I love about Notion is because it doesn't share your information. And I did see a question there about someone was saying about sharing information. It doesn't share it outside of that system. So unlike ChatGPT, you wouldn't be putting in your trade secrets or stuff you have privacy issues with into ChatGPT. You wouldn't be putting in that proprietary information into that particular system or deepfake or something like that. Okay, so Notion has got rules around that, which makes it, I don't have an issue with the privacy side of things in Notion. But yeah, I'm very selective what I put into ChatGPT. But still, it's a fantastic tool. Absolutely fantastic. I don't think your mic's on, Simon.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Just on that, Angelo said, how is security of information ensured using AI?
So each of the tools will have their rules and their terms and conditions, and it's just a matter of you need to look at that. And for your organisation, you have to see whether you're comfortable in how they use your data or how they don't use your data. So yeah, it's a matter of you've got to check that out for whatever tool that you're using.
Yeah, makes sense. Question from Sahul: how can we link asset monitoring records or other documents for AI support?
So what I do is, and again, I'm going to go back to that Notion system. Notion actually has built-in forms, so you can collect the data in the forms and it all goes into a database, and then you can just go, okay, please tell me what the average temperature range was for, I don't know, February 2025. Tell me when the last time, or you might have all of your swabbing data for your environmental swabs, and you might want to see a trend. You would say, okay, is this trending up or down? Do I have an issue? Customer complaints can be entered into that system. So wherever you've got electronic data, even if you've got it in a PDF, you can actually have AI help you summarize that information and pick out key things. And look, even tonight when I jumped on this program, Webinar Jam, I don't know whether it has a built-in voice, what do you call it, where it records and it does the transcription. But my system, my Notion system, actually did a pop-up on my computer that said, do you want to record this session? And I did one the other day. It's only a new feature in the software. I did it the other day. It was a 45-minute meeting I was having. And I checked with the client. They were happy for me to record it. It recorded the whole thing. It transcribed everything that we said. There was a lot of mumble jumbles in that, but where the gold was in the summary. It pulled out the key highlights of what we spoke about. It said the action items of what each person was going to do. That just absolutely blew me away. That would be something that would have taken me 2 hours previously to write up notes for a 45-minute meeting. And
yes.
It did it in under 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's brilliant for things like that.
Absolutely blew me away.
For meetings and things like that. It's just amazing. So really for quality managers, etc., which is really can be or has been a bureaucratic and a lot of record keeping, a lot of writing, reports, organisation, structuring things, documents, pulling things together. Used in the right way, AI is a massive
Massive time saver, massive.
Definitely.
And like I said, even just using those minutes to the meetings, you can do that for your management review meetings. You can do it for your HACCP team meetings. You can do it for your toolbox meetings. You can just have it on your mobile phone and it can pick it up from there as long as you activate it, and it's all done for you. Like I said, then you can actually spend time doing what you should be doing.
Definitely.
Instead of paperwork,
100%. Yeah, Laurie's just said, done a lot of SOPs with chat. And it can be frustrating at the beginning, but the more you use it, the more content it has, the better the result. Today I got perfect results in basically no time. So you learn how to communicate with it. When you write the prompts, etc.
That's right. The prompt, learning to write the prompt properly. Like you can't just put in like give it no information. It's like you got to treat if we're talking ChatGPT, you've got to treat it like you're trying to explain something to one of your colleagues. You wouldn't just give them half the information if you wanted to do something. So you make sure you give as much detail as you can. And the more you train it, the better it gets. Definitely. And that ChatGPT, I think that's about $20 a month for the paid version. I haven't paid for the paid version yet because I get to use those models within Notion for the price I already pay. But the free bit of ChatGPT, if Laurie they may have been using the free version. But if you've got the paid version, it remembers your history because you have a login. So it knows, it just starts to learn your style and everything like that. So exactly, it's really good.
Superb. Angela, I think it's the same thing we're just talking about. How to design prompts so that AI avoids not like crazy answers. It's like garbage in, garbage out, isn't it? So the better that you can articulate what you want and the boundaries of that, and it's
getting really good. It's getting really good though. I don't get too much garbage back at me. In ChatGPT anymore.
One thing that I do find myself saying, if I write something, I put it in and I say, please don't write it in ChatGPT style. Just write it in my tone, but just structure it better and etc.
So that's what I will always say. I am a food safety consultant working on a project for a food business that manufactures bread. Can you please tell me the risks, the biological, chemical, physical hazards associated with manufacturing bread products? And then it spits it out. Then I'll say, can you give me some case history around, this biological hazard? And so then I can cross-reference, and because I actually know that stuff, so I can cross-reference it anyway. But just even if you're doing your hazard analysis, it's fantastic. If you're doing your raw material risk assessment, put in there what are the hazards, the food safety hazards associated with ... whatever your raw material is. That is grown or originates from a particular country, because it'll go into all the geopolitical risks, not just your food safety risks, which you want to do for food fraud as well.
I mean, I've noticed now, like a lot of emails I get, it's like you get it and it's like, like overly positive and crafted this, and it's like, hello, ChatGPT.
Well, I haven't got that bad yet, but I am doing a lot of automations in my business. So even for me to develop the International HACCP Alliance certificates for my 2-day HACCP training, like that was like an hour process before for me to get it, do a mail merge, print them out on the printer, sign them, put the gold seal on. Now I just have it all electronic. I have it set up in ChatGPT, in Notion, the person's name, the date, their certificate number. I just hit a button that says generate, and it gets all done for me and sent back to my email in a draft email ready to send to that person.
That's brilliant. Cool.
in under 2 minutes. That's the other thing. It's just
know,
the time savings.
It's incredible, and it's pretty early days still. I mean, what's it going to be like in 10, 20 years?
I know.
Jennifer says, with proper prompts, I would say accuracy is 9 out of 10. Jennifer's also said we've created training videos with AI. We've also some assistants that will ask you SQF questions, for example, to help you. Kasim's asking, can AI be integrated to a system for continued monitoring?
What do you mean by that? How can we...
Yes, Abdul, there is a certificate later. No, it's okay.
How can the AI be integrated to a system for continued monitoring? I don't really understand what you mean there.
If you can add some more context to that.
Context.
Yeah.
Just pretend I'm a prompt. You got to prompt me a bit more information.
That's it. We send the certificate out. You don't need to add your email, Abdul. We've already got your email. Laurie said, paid version remembers also the tone of your voice you prefer to use in communication. Can be corporate business talk, and then good banter in between. Totally trainable according to your personal preferences, and the results will be non-artificial eventually. Yeah.
Exactly. I do the banter all the time as well, Laurie. I can't help myself.
Come on, you can do a lot better. You can do a lot better than that.
But even if you say, okay, what's the weather like in AI land today, and it will come back with something. It's quite funny.
It's amazing, actually. I mean, my chat GPT is a man. Is yours a woman? My wife is a woman, and mine's a man. I don't know. You just give it a sex.
That's right. You do, you assign a gender to it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the very first things that I used ChatGPT for was I said, write me a poem about how awesome, a particular person was. I think I said my husband or one of the kids or something like that. And it was funny what it came back with.
It is incredible.
And it all rhymed. It all rhymed and everything. So
I have just no clue how it's done. It's just amazing. Yes, Manuel, we share the presentation and the slides, presentation and certificate afterwards. Angela's saying sometimes ChatGPT gives references and links that do not really exist. Have you come across that at all?
Not really, because I more use Perplexity for my sciencey kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Angelo, the webinars are on the website if you just want to have a look on there.
So if it's something that you think it's throwing up an hallucination, again, you've just got to verify it. Exactly like you verify anything in your food business. You verify your cleaning practices and
I even used it. My son's just finished university, but he, like his dissertation, to proofread it. Specifically said, do not change anything. Just advise of, this is the brief. This is what he's done. Mm. What errors, basic errors has he overlooked, or structure or anything. So, I mean, he thought he was concerned that it was cheating. I said, no, it's not cheating. It's just like I can read
it's a proofread.
Proofreading it, and it's just advising, well, it's a bit too wordy here, and you could reduce, etc.
So the grammatical side of it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, super.
And like I think Laurie was saying, like it gets used to a voice, so you can actually say how you want something to be voiced. If you wanted to write a reply to a customer complaint, you can have trained it on your own corporate voice on how you would normally reply to things. So it's quite helpful for that. You could put in, I've had a customer who's got a piece of metal in a slice of bread. Please write me a reply letter to the complainant, outlining, what we're going to do and all of that stuff. And you've got to remember, especially with ChatGPT, it's a really good starting point. So it gives you that foundation that you can then look at it and go, right, I'm going to tweak it here, here, and here. So instead of just staring at a blank page, you've got something to start off with. And then you'll find that you'll start bringing your own voice into it anyway.
For sure, definitely. Kasim's gone on to say, talking about continued monitoring of temperature and compliance, like as a AI as a monitoring.
So, look, I know that there are, and look, I don't even think I'd call that AI. There's systems out there that, you can stick thermometers in things and it'll record it, and then all the data goes back to a central point. Where the magic happens is if you can get the data out of that central point to then put it into a system that can analyse that data. That's where the value is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Steve, basic question. What are the limitations of use of AI given UK GDPR regs forbidding the sharing of information? Realistically, you can't load works data into AI unless it's been adopted organisationally.
So that would be something that you would have to check with your own corporate lawyers on what their stance of all of that type of stuff is. That's what we were saying before about, you wouldn't be putting in proprietary information into ChatGPT. But in other systems that are closed systems, it's just a matter of reading the terms and conditions to understand how open the system is and what your data is being used for. So again, this is why I like Notion, because it doesn't use your data to train the AI models. It's only being used for your stuff.
Okay. Question from Mohammed. Any recommended use of AI implementation for BRC, FSSC?
Hang on, whereabouts is that? How far was that one?
It should be highlighted in the sidebar.
Oh, sorry. Well, everything that I've been through already today, Mohammed, I went through a heap of different examples of how you can use it. Like I said, generating internal audit checklists based on the standards. You can generate training material, for your staff, your toolbox talks, things like that, recording, generating HACCP team meeting minutes.
Okay. Alejandro, I was just asking, what would be the best AI tool for training purposes?
Well, there's lots. If you were going to write your own internal, like asynchronous training, there's plenty of, you can use ChatGPT to write the script for your training. You can then feed that into a program. I'm just trying to think of the name of it. So it's basically the fake people, which I've got some of these in some of my online training, the AI models. And they basically do the voiceover. You can choose the language of your AI model. And when I say model, I mean like spokesperson. You can have them on screen talking about, maybe you're doing an induction, a food safety induction, or it's not just food safety, you can do workplace safety as well. So there are ways that you can do it for training if you were having to build your own training material.
Okay.
There's benefits between BRCGS and HACCP. Two completely different systems. I'm going to advocate BRCGS every day over anything, but that's just me.
Yeah, the question, a few people have asked the same question over and over, so I've not mentioned it, but just again to clarify, how can we make sure AI provides us accurate information? Can you just clarify that again from your point of view?
So it should give you a reference point, and you need to follow the chain to look for that reference point. Like I said before, I use a program called Perplexity for any of my research stuff, and it will normally pull off from research articles, like known legitimate sources. So you still have to have a bit of an idea to know what's legitimate and what's not. And the key thing is you'd be looking at, published papers that, just like you would do if you were doing a uni assignment or something like that, university assignment.
Have you actually generated a HACCP for marinated meat? How would you? Because Lulia has asked how to use AI to create HACCP. Would you know the steps to go about? If you was tasked with that? What would you
for
do?
Marinated meat?
Yeah.
Well, I would firstly. It can't tell you what your flow chart is, right? You've got to work that out yourself by walking your own process. But you can say to whichever system you're using, what are the biological hazards associated with the receival of X raw material? X being, milk, bread, raw meat, whatever. What are the chemical hazards associated with cooking chicken? What are the allergenic hazards associated with product labelling? So again, it's all about how you ask the questions. So again, think about it how if you were going to ask me, like that's a very, very broad question, you wouldn't put that into ChatGPT and say, create me a HACCP plan for marinated meat. You can give it a go, but I don't think I would be trusting it to pick up everything that you would need it to do.
Yeah.
But give it a crack, see what happens. Yeah. This is the whole beauty of ChatGPT. Unless you get to your X amount of units a day, and your free ones, it'll say you've used up all your units for the day.
I mean, you just start off by saying to ChatGPT, I'm looking to create a HACCP study for this. I want to work with you on it. What's the best way for us to go about it together so that it accurately represents the right process?
Yeah.
And it'll outline the steps for you of what to do and what to go. And it'll tell you to go and get stuff and go and do stuff and bring it back.
Yeah.
And then feed it all in, and you just work together like a good team.
That's right.
Yeah.
Another team member. It's a team member.
Would you include ChatGPT then on your HACCP team?
Well, maybe, yeah.
As a reference.
Not as the HACCP team leader, I suppose.
No, maybe not.
No, but then you wouldn't be doing that because you're still going to reference government legislation and things like that anyway. So it's just another source of information.
Yeah,
okay?
for sure.
And it just helps you save time.
Yeah. Laurie said, chat can list the critical points in the process first, and then you can go into more detail according to your own process flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But remember, you still have to follow the HACCP principles in doing your hazard analysis first before you start identifying CCPs. Because remember, there's a process you have to go through for HACCP.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to just go and write your HACCP program and say, these are the CCPs, and you haven't even done a hazard analysis, because you will get marked down for that during your audit if you haven't done your hazard analysis. That's quite critical that you do that.
Yeah, that's the danger in it, that you don't hang your brain on the coat peg and substitute for ChatGPT. It's like a tool to enhance your knowledge and reduce time, especially in things like that, and organisation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, any further questions before? I mean, it's like 3 minutes to 1 a.m. in the morning for Amanda.
That's it.
It's
and I'm ready for bed.
Yeah. So I think actually we'll leave it there. What we'll do is we'll send
if
you.
anybody wants any more other information, I do have live courses on how to use Notion for your food safety management system. So it's not just the AI side of it, but it's actually the management of the whole program.
Oh,
so you've got my emails in the slide deck. Or just reach out at help@hazardmentor.com, and that's where you'll find me.
Very good. Okay, so we'll follow up with everybody with the slide certificate and recording afterwards. You can watch that again at your leisure. If you need to reach out to Amanda, or emails in the slides that we'll send to you. So thanks for everybody attending, and thanks very much for your time and staying up. And good night, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Right. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See you on the next one. Take care. Bye.